It's gonna die. What a world. Here it's coming back. What's up, tappers? Welcome back. Thanks for taking the time to watch Hello Good Game. Today we have a really special control deck for you. It doesn't have a win condition. The only win condition here would be your opponent conceding or you kind of messing up and allowing him to win. So other than that, this is an infinite game and we have a very, very long match for you guys to watch today. It is really cool that our opponent allowed us to go so long with him. So let's break down the deck, then we're going to talk a little bit about the strategy and get into that gameplay footage. And I want to remind you, if you find any value throughout this video, it would be a great way to help the channel grow if you not only liked the video and left a comment, but shared it to some of your friends that you find might value it as well. So with that all being said, let's break down the deck list. We have 3, the Birth of Maltese. This is an enchantment saga. As this saga enters the battlefield and after your draw step, add a lore counter and then sacrifice after step 3. Search your library for a basic plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library for step 1. Step 2, create a 0/4 colorless wall artifact creature token with Defender, and step 3, you gain 2 life, and then again you sacrifice it right after you've gained that 2 life. So this is a great enchantment card. It always finds us a plains, which is really helpful to make sure that we can play our Teferi more frequently on turn 3, so that we do have that land. Dovin's Veto, we have 3 of these as well. This is an instant spell. This spell can't be countered. Counter target non-creature spell. 3, Thassa's Intervention. This spell costs 2 blue devotion plus X. Choose 1. Look at the top X cards of your library. Put up to 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Or counter target spell unless its controller pays twice X. We have 3, Rule of Law. This is our first 3-drop. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. 1 copy of Clear the Mind. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library and draw a card. 2, Narset, Parter of Veils. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn, -2. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them, put it into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. 4, Teferi Time Ravelers. Each opponent can cast spells only anytime they can cast a sorcery, +1 until your next turn. You may cast sorcery spells as though they have flash, and -3, return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand and draw a card. We also have 4 copies of Absorb. Counter target spell, you gain 3 life. Moving on to our 4-drops, we have 4 copies of Shattered the Sky. Each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroy all creatures. Devious Cover-Up, this is an instant counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. You may shuffle up to 4 target cards from your graveyard into your library. We have Elspeth Conquers Death ×4. This is our first 5-drop. This is another enchantment saga, so it's triggering the same way as all of the other sagas. As it enters the battlefield and after you draw, add a lore counter to it and then sacrifice after phase 3. On phase 1, exile target permanent and opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or greater. On phase 2, non-target creature spells your opponent casts cost 2 more to cast until your next turn. And on its final phase 3, return target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put an additional 1/1 counter or loyalty counter on it. So this is really great as well. We have a single copy of Time Wipe. Return a creature you control to its owner's hand, then destroy all creatures. 1 copy of Emergency Powers. This is for 7. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. Exile Emergency Powers. Addendum, if you cast this spell during your main phase, you may put a permanent card with converted mana cost 7 or less from your hand to the battlefield. And then finally, Finale of Revelation. This is a 2-cost spell plus X. Draw X cards if X is 10 or more. Instead, shuffle your graveyard into your library, draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game, plus exile Finale of Revelations. We have 4 Temple of Enlightenments, 4 Hollowed Fountains, 8 Islands, and 8 Plains. Again, we could easily incorporate a lot of win conditions in this simply through Castle Ardenvale, Dream Trawler, Dance of the Mats. There's many win conditions that we could incorporate into this deck, but we did want to make this as a meme deck and just troll our opponent to see how long we could bait them on the hook for, and we were absolutely blessed with the world's greatest match. So that's the deck. Let's talk a little bit about the strategy. It's a pretty simple deck to play as long as you remember to do a couple of your key chores. Which is really just making sure you have a clear of the mind before you mill yourself and that you're able to grab it back after you use it with a Devious Cover-Up. We have a couple final solutions here that do the same thing via emergency powers and finale of revelations, which should win you the game via concede. But we should be infinitely able to cycle clear the mind and our devious cover up together, which is really, really quite nice. As far as the early game goes, there's not much to it. We really want to get rule of law out as quickly as possible. It's ideal if we can have a Teferi on the field, maybe do an instant speed Shatter the Sky with his plus ability, and then drop a rule of law while having a counter available potentially. You're going to run into some trouble potentially, but that's why Shatter the Sky is so helpful. You really want to prioritize your Dovin's Veto and your Thassa's Intervention and your Absorbs for non-creature spells like Planeswalkers, those big bombs like Command the Dreadhorde, things that are going to get you eventually, even potentially an Elspeth Conquers Death, right? You could counter that with an Absorb because it's not a creature and it will still deal quite a bit of damage and convert quite a bit of value for your opponent. So prioritize creatures with the field wipes. You have Shatter the Sky, you have Time Wipe, you have plenty of life, and then counter his Planeswalkers with Absorbs, Dovin's Vetoes, Thassa's Intervention. If you don't need to counter, it can also be used as a draw card, which is really great to find the appropriate card, Rule of Law. And again, once Rule of Law is on the field, each player can cast no more than one spell each turn, which means you can cast on your turn and you can cast on their turn. And if you have Teferi on the field, they can't cast during your turn. So you have just a huge inherent amount of value strictly based on when your opponent is allowed to play and how much they're allowed to play. So you're playing on their turn and your turn, they're only playing on their turn. So you should be able to win games easily. Rule of Law, once you get it on the field, you just protect it. And you could even potentially, to get around it, bounce it with your Teferi, play 2, 3, 4 cards, put it back on the field as your last drop. Now your opponent can't play again, right? But again, I really recommend saving that mana to hold up a counterspell on your opponent's turn. That's basically the strategy for the early game. Mid to late game is just rock the removals, Shatter Skies, get rid of his Planeswalkers, and we want to work towards getting those 12 lands on the field so we can drop Finale of Revelations. That's going to allow us to draw a huge hand and make everything just that much more easier. Again, we also have emergency powers to troll our opponent with, to put his graveyard back into his library if we want. So there's a lot of fun stuff here to do. And again, when we do get down in cards, like we're going to mill ourselves, we need to clear the mind, and then we need to devious cover up to get our clear the mind back. If our opponent refuses to play cards for us to counter, we can counter our own card here to activate devious cover up. I like to do Thassa's Intervention for 1, so that's a 3 cost, and then we devious cover up for 7, which allows us to bring clear the mind back, and hopefully at that point we have a Teferi with a plus ability, which we can then plus clear the mind if we need. So quite a few interactions here, but it's overall very, very simple, and you're going to do really, really well against aggro decks just because they don't have the time to play those long, drawn-out matches with you. They're going to concede. They want to get that win rate up, and that means playing more games per hour, and this is just pure hate on that with no win conditions other than the mills. So that's our strategy, you guys. A few closing words before we move on to today's footage. We are live on Twitch every morning, 6 a.m. PST, if you wanted to join the live conversation there. Again, if you have any questions about this deck or you want to just talk to me personally, join the Discord. We have a flourishing team growing here. That's absolutely great. We're running the monthly Brawl tournaments. If you're interested in winning cash prizes for a 0 entry fee, be sure to join our Discord there. We can direct you to the appropriate place. With that all being said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tap that like button. Let's get into today's footage. We've all heard about hypercancer, but what is cancer really like? It's slow, it's painful, and it kills the ones you love. Today we're playing Azor's Control, and we're going to demonstrate, unfortunately, some of the true pain involved here. So there's nothing fast about this death. This is going to be the slowest and most painful match we've ever played of Magic. We're missing our turn 2 Birth of Maltese, and even that hurts us. So really, it's shame on everyone involved. Fairies in the house. Let's just toss that in the Is-Air. So he's got a huge drop, but obviously we can just bounce it with our Teferi as long as it's not a Nissa. That would blow us up. Night Pack Ambusher, we do not mind. Absolutely fine. We can now bounce it. Grabbing that lands. Straight chillin'. Looking for a rule of law now. Obviously, we go in with the absorb here. Hopefully our opponent doesn't scoop at this point, because we need this match to last much, much longer. Playing our second planes, plussing our Teferi.
Let's try this.
Passing the buck. We do have a Shattered Sky. He continues to ramp his land. Absolutely acceptable, we don't mind. And then another Ambusher. I'm just going to shatter it here. And I really want to prioritize this intervention in case he drops a Nissa. Right, that's going to be one of our higher priority cards to deal with here. And again, Teferi goes up. We do have a counterspell, which is nice. And we're working towards our finale of Revelation. 12 land. That's quite extensive. Passing our turn. We are sitting on 6 land. So halfway there, 7 in the hand. Karn the Great Creator. Interesting. We don't have anything to deal with that. So let's just immediately counter this, saving our intervention. And we're putting both of these cards back into our deck. Take a shuffle. Our turn now. Teferi's back up to a dangerous position.
Don't worry, I got this.
Let's play our planes just so our intervention has the most mana available. We could always pay 2 life for this later. Ending our turn. We're sitting on 7 land, 8 in the hand, 4 land away from our Revelation. Gift of Paradise, we don't mind, that's low priority. Gains 3 life. He has so much land available to him. Wicked Wolf is a little bit harder to get around. He has no land here. And I'm gonna hold intervention, let him play his Wicked Wolf, right? He has nothing to fight, and then we're gonna bounce it with our Teferi, get that draw. Let's take the Scry before we draw. Absorb can stay, loving it. Bouncing his Wolf.
Oh, I've done.
Woof, woof. Now we have that Absorb to counter it. He can go. We're making very quick work of this match. And Anissa, this is exactly what we didn't want to see. So we have nothing to deal with that other than counter magic. So we have to get rid of that immediately. Our turn again, perfect. Let's take that Scryland again. Narset can stay, we really like that quite a bit. Let's throw the plus up on Teferi.
I am not making this up as I
Passing our turn. Paying life for the land. I think he understands that it's not really our get. So 2, 4, he has 5 land available. So again, we could counter it, but we could also just bounce it. And I think that might be our best bet. Right, we have 26 life. Let's let it sit there for a second, right? He has no food tokens. It's not that big of a threat. We have Shattered Skies to deal with that. It could be as easy as pulling our Narset, playing our Narset, and then grabbing a Shattered Sky, right? Nothing difficult there.
Meditate and prepare.
Rule of law is what we've been looking for. But then again, Dovin's veto shuts down his next Nissa. And I need to prioritize that. We have 4, 5, 6 land available to us. Let's go ahead, bounce the wolf, take a draw.
I've got it.
There is our Shattered Sky, which is what we really wanted to see. Let's play our Teferi, plus our Teferi.
I'm known for my excellent height. I've got
And why not pay a little bit of life? Even though we don't need to, just so he knows that we can. Ending our turn here, we're getting closer to our Finale of Revelation, which is normally when we see our opponents concede. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10 land. Tolsimir, friend to the wolves. Ouch. So that's pretty nice. We're gonna let that hit. It's an amazing Shattered Sky target. Able to play his secondary wolf, and he goes for it, you guys. This is... We're getting there, you know what I mean? Plays another land. No attackers. Goodbye. Woof. And Elspeth is really nice here. Let's plus our Teferi. Minus our Narset.
done a
Hone
hero
your
thing
prowess.
before.
Ooh, I like all of this quite a bit. Stack vetoes. Let's take down a shot at the sky. We have a veto, so we should be okay. We also have Elspeth Conquers Death, which could be really good. He's gonna start making these wolves, which is again fine with us. We can easily just bounce out with our Teferi. Another land, that's great. Let's take a draw, also great.
Let's try this.
Let's play our Narset on top of our other.
I train every day. No one keep an open mind.
Let's take our Thassa's Intervention here. That's going to allow us to draw our Rule of Law. Passing our turn. Gilded Goose in the house, you guys. Whoa. Ban this card. All right, we got another wolf coming in the field. Let's grab another land. That's really important to us at this point. Right, just getting closer to 12 every turn. And our second minus. Looking for a Rule of Law. We do find it. Let's toss that down. Finally. I mean, he's out of cards at this point already. And Teferi can go up.
Don't worry.
And then passing our turn. Again, we have that counter for his Nissa. We also have a Thassa's Intervention, which we can cast. He can see this. Teferi can go down by 2. That's not the worst thing.
Hey, that was uncalled for.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we could cast it for 5. Draining our mana. And let's take an Absorb and a Dovin's... Oh no, we need a land, don't we? We'll take the veto. We'll get the land eventually. Right, it's just so much sauce here, you guys. It's ridiculous. Land could go to the bottom. We're at 30 cards, so that's great. Straight chillin'. Teferi can plus, I suppose. That's smart of us. We now have protection
This might be a
through our
bad
0-4 defender, and our 0 win condition deck, I think, is about to find its win condition in our opponent conceding. We are set up as good as we could ever want. We're absorbing this. He can't play a second spell this turn anymore because rule of law. So that is pretty groovy. Teferi's got a plus on the field, which is what we want to do next turn, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 on the field. Time wipe's pretty cool, I guess. Right, why not? Let's just plus here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4,
Here we go.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We do have our 12 lands. So we just need to defend. We've got Teferi's plus, so we can cast our Finale of Revelation on his turn. Hopefully there's nothing too serious that we need to counter. And I guess worst case scenario, we let it hit the field, which is what we should have done last turn, and then just use our Finale and then Shatter the Sky or Time Wipe, because we have both options available. The only thing we're going to deal with here is his Nissa, right? And we've got our Dovin's Veto for that. He can see that as well, so he thinks he's just going to try to mill us of our own deck. Like, we've not thought about that. Okay, pass my turn. Oh, no, cancel. The wrong card. Those look so similar. That pesky X. Paying 10 here. Right. No maximum hand size. Absolutely loving it. We will untap 5 lands here now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I would say that's game. What do you guys think? Right? We do have one play here. Let's shatter his sky. Loving it. We're up to 13 minutes, you guys. That's great. This is a new record. We've got our first shuffle back into our library, which is great. We're going to keep this timer going pretty quick. Our opponent still has 36 cards in his deck. So he still has quite a bit of hope, right? I don't even know. My turn. Let's play the land. Enter tapped. Plus Teferi, I guess. And we could stack our rule of laws down. Passing our turn. We have 2 absorbs, 2 Elspeth Conquers Death. Let's get rid of that with an absorb. More land, loving it. Teferi goes up, why not?
Trust me, I have a plan.
We're gonna pass our turn here. We do have Devious Cover-Up as well.
Here goes nothing.
Four copies of Elspeth Conquers Death in our hand. Throw the Dovin's Veto out on his Nissa. What a world. Birth of Maltese we can play. That's nice. Passing our turn here.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Prison Realm. Let's absorb that. There's a nice little defender for us. Let's plus up. We don't care about his treasures. Really, they can sit there. We have 20 cards. We could draw so many here. What do we have? 3, 10, 18. So we could do 16. You gotta find those 2 special cards you want. Okay, we want an Emergency's Power, and we want Clear the Mind. Right? Fairy goes up.
Trust me, I have a plan.
Let's pass. Shatter the Sky can come down here with our Time Wipe. Devious Cover-Up is really good for us as well. Let's see how high we can get our Teferi.
This might be a bad idea.
Passing our turn. We have 16 cards left. Our opponent's down to 28. Another Nightpack Ambusher. Groovy. Cells of a Devious Cover-Up. And let's put everything back in our deck. Thank you. Soon our deck will consist solely of counters. We love it. The Birth of Maltese hits the field. Getting our last planes. Teferi goes up.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Another Absorb. Pretty cool. Let's pass our turn here. We have 17 in our deck. More than enough. Let's gain some more life. 39 life. Teferi goes up. Loving it. Passing our turn. Wicked Wolf gets absorbed. Even though we could do a plethora of things with it. We could Time Wipe it. We could Shatter the Sky. We could even Elspeth Conquers Death it. Our third rule of law. That's our final copy of it. There's our turn. We're gonna let the Goose resolve.
That's more like it.
Passing our turn. Woof. We're strolling up to 20 minutes, you guys. Big thank you to our opponent for letting us do this. Command the Dreadhorde, are you serious? There's Dovin's Veto, and we might see the scoop here. We should have let it hit the field and then Time Wipe, but he was pulling a Nissa, so that's unfortunate. Teferi goes up.
Don't worry.
And our turn. Let's do some resorting here. He makes the food. Let's bring our Devious Cover-Up to our priority cast. And absorb. Loving it. We have 12 cards left.
I've got it.
Let's pass. More Shatter the Sky. Teferi goes up.
Oh, I've done.
Passing our turn. Resolve. We're withholding the fact that we have a Clear the Mind to pair with our Devious Cover-Up and an Emergency Powers. Just to try to bait him in for as long as we can. Our Teferi is up to 20. Oh my god.
Let's try
Passing. We have 10 cards left, you guys. Our opponent's down to 19. Another temple. I didn't know we still had land. Teferi can stay, sure. You never know when this one dies.
Here we go.
Passing our turn. 9 cards left, you guys. And it's funny because each player shuffles their graveyard, so he's gonna get that as well, which is great. Right, so he won't mill himself either. Should we do it now, just to show him that we can? Nah, we'll hold off. We'll do it as late as we can. Let's give an oops, like we forgot a kill command, and we're gonna mill ourselves.
Nothing.
Right, just to kind of keep him engaged with the match as long as we can. I would be sad if he like quit before we got to cast our emergency powers. So that part of me makes me want to do it before he does concede. He should start gaining life with all these food, man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's match. We're coming up to 25 minutes here. And sadly, it appears like my internet connection is dropping. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it here, I think. Hopefully it comes back. That would be so heartbreaking. We need to reconnect here quick. It is our connection. And he has out-wiggled us, you guys. He's still here. I see him looking at his hand. And now it's our turn. Let's plus up. And we may as well emergency powers.
Don't worry.
Hopefully our internet comes back. Let's just go ahead and do it because we feel like our internet's gonna die. What a world. Here it's coming back. A little bit waved out. So we can't draw cards, and he puts a bunch onto the battlefield. Let's put our Elspeth. So we're back at 24, and we can submit 0 here. Maybe we've got to target something. Oh, he's got Gift of Paradises we can target. I see. I was like, what's going on here? Not trying to rope our opponent, just having internet troubles. It does appear to be back for now. So let's pray we can finish this game out. We did get cast our emergency powers, which is great. We're back up to 24 cards in our deck. Our opponent's at 39. So as far as he's concerned, he could play this forever. Luckily, just luckily, we have 1 counter left, which we can get rid of. We have no targets to put back. So submitting 0 here. We've lost our emergency powers, which is sad. So now we're strictly to rotating devious covers ups along with clear the mind. Emergency powers is kind of like a one-time thing. And again, Teferi goes up.
Let's try this.
That's our turn. We're at 42 life. There should be a thing like if you can reach 100 life, you win the game or something. That would be cool. That's the only way our opponent's going to beat us is if our internet totally dies. But hopefully not, right? Should we just start drawing again? I almost want to. Right, why not? Let's start bouncing these foods every turn, making him have to gain life. You know what I mean? I love it. Alright, we're passing our turn. Now maybe we'll start berating him. Minusing our 20 plus to Teferi here, forcing our opponent to gain life. It's not fair when we're at 42, he's only at 32. He has to be in the 40s as well. It's only fair. Just for no reason other than to make him gain life. Everybody must win this match. Everybody love everybody! Yes, sir. You know what? He's gonna create the food and I'm gonna feed it to him. Right, let's gain him some life, right? Somebody's gotta help this guy out. Get him up to 38, that's awesome. Yeah, skip our turn. Let's do some resorting here. Shatter the Sky we probably won't ever use again. We've got 3 Teferis, 4 is on the field, a Narset, Clear the Mind, Veto. What's he destroy with it, you know what I mean? Get out of here. All right, so we do need to make a move here. Let's toss this Goose because we do actually want the draw now because we had to use our counter. And we got 18 cards to pull an Absorb out of. There's land there still? Nice. That's hilarious. Let's toss another Narset out. What's the worst thing that happens as we pick the other one back up from the graveyard? Am I right? Let's keep this one. Here, Absorb. Come here, boy.
I have just the trick for this.
He can see that as well. A Wicked Wolf. Indestructible will protect him from destroy, or does it not? I don't think it does. Let's snag the wolf. Maybe it does. I know it doesn't protect it against minus toughness. Oh, Dovin's Veto's nice. That's awesome. Let's toss out this Gift of Paradise. Just kind of getting the most of our draws. Another Elspeth Conquers Death, looking for another Absorb.
Meditate and prepare.
There it is. So I think this is my induction into the actual guild of control players. I finally potentially have passed the test here with this homemade Jank deck. Absolutely loving it. I have no idea how we're playing land. That's incredible. Does he have anything to mine us anymore? He doesn't. We're back to killing his lovely foods. We could be returning our rule of laws if we really wanted to draw. We do have the absorb, so there's no need. And we can pass. Elspeth Conquers Death can go to the side. We could use Death to exile his indestructible wolf if it comes back around. Right, let's just pop our rule of law back. Why not? He can play an instant speed spell here if he wanted. And that opportunity is now gone.
This isn't a fight you can win.
Alright, let's plus this Teferi. We've got 2 vetoes and absorb. Our rule of law we can play down. GG, RIP, EZ. Clear of mind, still chilling in our hand for when we get close to calling it quits again. Let's toss this rule of law in play. And we've got him with enough life now that we can just continue to draw cards. I just wanted us both up around 40.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
My turn. We could Thassa's Intervention to take whatever we need. Plus our Teferi. Play our rule of law. So we gave him that oops to make him think that our emergency powers was like our only go-to. But really, we can cycle clear the mind as many times as we want with Devious Cover-Up. We're down 7 cards. Our opponent's at 26 again already. Bertha Maltese is a friendly play. No planes left. So sad. Let's minus our Teferi on a rule of law. Why not? Oh, we should have actually not done that. Now we don't have a Teferi on the field. Our opponent has a chance. I think World starts soon. That's why we're just kind of playing jank. I only wanted to play 1 match until World started. So again, here comes our Teferi. If he had a counterspell here, he could maybe somehow run away with it.
I am not going to sit this.
No dice though. And then we're gonna return our Bertha Maltese back to our hand. Why not? 4 cards in deck. And we've got a bunch in our graveyard. 7 in our graveyard. We really need to start getting them out of our hand is the thing though, I guess. Hey, we don't want too big of a hand. So let's go ahead and draw 2 more here, I guess. We can look at the top 2. Auto pay. That should leave us with 1. We draw this final one to start our turn, which just, it cracks me up, right? We can cast this as a instant or sorcery. Let's plus our Teferi here. And then we're gonna throw another card into our graveyard, which equals playing a Teferi on top of our Teferi. Am I right? Yes. If he had a counter spell, oh no, he can't counter because of Teferi. That's awesome. We're just gonna plus this because we can't draw Avi. And that'll be our second Teferi token. Let's give our opponent a hello, good game, because I feel like he's soon going to realize that this is not going to work. The only way he could do it, and even then he couldn't. All right, let's cast our Clear the Mind. Right, that's our best bet. We are the target player. Let's put that graveyard back into our library, and then we're going to draw a card. Narset, loving it. And again, we can just start to cycle this as much as we want.
I'll protect you.
Getting more cards in our graveyard if possible. The only way he could beat us, and I guess he probably could, is if he didn't play any more spells. Right? This is going to be the longest, most disappointing game of Magic I've ever played. We can counter our own spell if we get rid of our rules of law. So let's start bouncing those, right? That's the only way we're going to get this card back. So we've got the play. It works. We just need to eliminate these rules, right? At first it won us the match, and now we need to immediately get rid of them just to survive. Our opponent's down to 22 as well. He's not going to attack us, so we have no worries there. That's awesome. What a big brain play to save this day. Whew. Our opponent really going the mile here. I love it. So let's go our turn. We do have 5 cards left. He's now discarding. Gain 2 life. Great. Now his spells are going to cost more next turn. That's the first turn that's out. So we've got a couple draws left. Let's just start plussing this to Fairy. We're ready to bounce our Rule of Law, play something and counter it with Devious Cover-Up. Right, so that's going to be really cool. And is there anything else we can play just to get our graveyard bigger and badder? Right, that puts more cards back in our library and just makes this whole equation a little bit friendlier. He's straight up chilling. We got 4 left in the deck. My turn. We're gonna push it again if we can. Or I guess we may as well do it now, I feel like. We have so much mana. Okay, do we have a Teferi in our hand? We do. Okay, we're gonna plus this Teferi. I guess it doesn't matter what order we do it in. Plussing our Teferi.
Trust me.
And then we're gonna play our other Teferi on top of it. Putting him to the graveyard, which is good for us. Keeping this Teferi. Now minusing our Rule of Law. Our opponent can't play because it's our turn and we have a Teferi on the field. We still have plenty of land, right? There's our Devious Cover-Up, and now we can cast just a cheap spell, if we will, for 2, right? We're gonna look at some cards here. Just paying 1, putting in full control here. Auto pay, and now we have the option to counter our own spell. Yes, we are absolutely sure out of full control just to make sure that it worked. And now Clear the Mind comes back into the fray, which is really good. Submitting 1. Resolving this. We could have taken them all, but Clear the Mind's just what we want to show them, you know what I mean? And on that note, we can go ahead and start lacing in our Rule of Laws again. Playing that back on the field so he can't play more than 2 his turn. And again, let's give him the hello, good game. We have him in infinite loop. We can do that every single turn. And we might just start. So again, we've got 3 cards in our library. Let's go ahead. We're looking at 1. Just getting our intervention back into our library so we can redraw it and make the game go on longer. We do get Clear the Mind, which is exactly what we want. 2 cards in the grave. We're going to gain some life here. We plus this Teferi.
I've got time.
And we can shuffle our graveyard back in on his end step because our Teferi's plussed. So we can go ahead and play something else that leaves the battlefield this turn if we have it. We do not. We could just play Shatter the Sky. Why not, right? Get some of these cards back into draw effect. I mean, there is obviously the option for us to screw up, but we're going to be okay. And we could actually do that one more turn as well. Right, we're drawing our last card here. It's a Teferi. We plus this Teferi, which activates Clear the Mind on his turn for us. He can't counter it because we have a Teferi. And let's just start throwing cards away back into the grave to redraw them, just so we have to do this process less often. There's no win conditions in this deck whatsoever, so not even a Castle Ardenvale. Our turn here, really important for us to play Clear the Mind, and we're targeting ourselves. Just cycling that single card. 1 common to rule them all. And again, now we have 6 more turns to play. And we can just start throwing away our cards. Blessing our Teferi, passing our turn. We have all of our absorbs. Let's play Shatter the Sky. Just cycling our field wipes on him, instant speed, so we're always filling our graveyard, which is really, really nice. We have 5 cards left in our library. Blessing Teferi. Just trying to keep track of things, right? Here's our last Shatter the Sky. Let's toss that down. Sorting our hand again. It always gets so messy. No attackers. Another Shatter the Sky. Excuse me, you guys. We've had our opponent on the rope here for 45 minutes. Absolutely amazing. If only we had more emergency powers, we'd make him shuffle his graveyard back into his library and play this game even longer. Another Birth of Maltese here. We're up to 53, so we may want to start pushing our opponent up to 50 now as well. Make sure all things are fair. Let's make sure we can always -3 though.
Here goes nothing.
Another Shattered Sky. Crazy how many field wipes we have in this deck. DB's Cover Up, which we really like, that allows us to take our Clear the Mind back. So worst case, we do have to bounce and return something of our own. 3 left to grab. Let's exchange Narsets, right? Narset's another card we can cycle. Putting the little one to the grave. Blessing our Teferi.
That's more like it.
And that's our turn. Maybe we should take bets as to how many cards he'll surrender with. My turn, let's just take it organically. We do get a time wipe, which is nice. And we're down to 2 cards, 8 in our library, so why not just do it a little preemptively? There's no need to risk such terrible things. Cancel. We're gonna plus our Teferi, just so we get that emblem. That's most important to us.
Here we go.
And then we play another Teferi on top, pushing this one to the grave, which is also great for us.
Right on schedule.
Now we minus our rule of law for our turn.
I've got it.
We cast Thassa's Intervention. Or, better yet, we keep Thassa's Intervention. And we counter a rule of law. So we're gonna auto pay and then Devious Cover Up our rule of law. Yes, we're sure. Out of full control, and we're taking Clear the Mind and I guess all these Shattered Skies to cycle. Taking action here. Thank you. And now that we have that back in play, or in our library, we can play our rule of law again. Basically boxing out our opponent, right? Narset can stay. We're not really concerned with drawing cards anymore. At this point, we're just having our opponent draw cards. We worked our way to the point where we're cycling our deck back and forth, which is the main goal. My turn. Shattered the Sky. Awesome.
That's more like it.
You can play this card and get 0 creatures destroyed and still find value out of it somehow. I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me. So, straight chillin'. Our opponent's down to 11. I wish we could shuffle his library. We could, because Clear the Mind will go to ours. Oh my god, you guys, we could be the worst about this. We'd have to cast it twice. Is that possible? We have to cast it on him. And then, so we're using 3. We plus Teferi. We use another 3. We then would have to draw it. I want to shuffle his library back. I think we can do it. Let's hold on a bit. We have a couple turns here. I'm going to try to figure this out.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Yeah, by golly. You know what I mean? Let's just end our turn here. We do have Clear the Mind in our hand. And 7 in the grave. We got to do it to our opponent. Which we could here, actually. Oh my god, you guys. This is going to be brutal. We have the intervention. This will work. We can draw the card. We're making our opponent shuffle his graveyard back into his library again. Nobody wins. Nobody goes home. This is incredible. So, we need to plus our Teferi. Right? Play our Thassa's Intervention for 1, counter it. No, I have a, fuck. I left my rule of law out. Good God, you guys. What a way to lose a match. That's on us. We had it figured, and I don't know. That is the worst way to lose a match. That's the deck, though. Absolute cancer, and we should not have run our system like that. Sucks. We should have just left it. But I guess a better way to let our opponent win than for us to win. Who cares? Let's shatter this guy here. We definitely don't need more wins. And we were able to have him on for 50 minutes, you guys. That is incredible. Good on him for sticking around. Woof. Alright, so that's definitely on me. User error. The deck will convert, though, just like that. It's rare for us to get a match that long. And yeah, he was actually able to execute a unique win condition, which was us messing up and milling ourselves. So we could have done that there, but the error was we needed to bounce our Rule of Law with a Teferi, but we accidentally played our Thassa's Intervention before we played a Teferi, because Teferi could have bounced our Rule of Law, which would have allowed us to continue to play more spells, which we did in the previous turn, clearly demonstrated. So, what a finish, you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. LOL. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you all tomorrow. Hey everybody, if you found any value from this video, check out our other videos. We have a complete playlist filled with videos for Guide for Beginners and our greatest hits, both filled with amazing content. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this channel to one of your friends who you thought of while watching our content. Thanks. Have a great day.